The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. Bcit Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on Bcit Magazine, paramedics in need of help. A tough time to find a home. And a fundraiser for puppers. Welcome to Bcit Magazine. I'm your host, Angelina Ravelli. Let's take a look at what's going on in our community this week. The housing market in Metro Vancouver continues to stay blistering hot, breaking all-time sales records in 2021, and it's showing no sign of slowing down. Our reporter Lucas Chelly tells us more.
The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver says 2021 was a record-breaking year for home sales, while prices continue to increase.
Cost of living here, it's really high for, especially the middle class and the poorer class of people.
Cities affected the most include New Westminster, Burnaby, and Maple Ridge, with houses and complexes being sold left, right, and center.
It's not uncommon to see, upwards of 50 to 100 showings at a property, coming through over a weekend. Some have had more.
The pandemic forced more people to work from home, and now many wish to expand their living spaces. Townhouses and condos are being built, but they're still struggling to keep up with the demand. The result is a real estate market with an extremely high level of interest, while supply remains at its lowest. Over the course of the year, almost 44,000 homes were sold in Metro Vancouver, a 42.2% increase from 2020. On top of that, the current number of listings available is just over 5,000, which is the lowest we've seen in over 30 years.
A good, normal amount of listings for Greater Vancouver is around 15,000. So we need to more than double the amount of listings just to get back to a healthy market.
Dave Valley has been in real estate for over 30 years. He expects the market to self-correct, but has a unique suggestion for younger people looking to move at this time.
If your parents have a house on a big lot, it might be worth talking to them about you building a laneway home.
With prices unlikely to drop in the near future at least, a lot of home buyers may have no choice but to adjust their needs.
There just seems to be this sort of desire to have everything sort of turnkey and perfect at the outset. And I don't think that's realistic for the majority of people.
Lucas Chelly in New Westminster for Bcit Magazine.
Our reporter Lucas Chelly joins us now. Lucas, what are the expectations for the housing market for the rest of the year?
Well, Angelina, the low supply is expected to have a lasting impact on the market for at least the first half of the year. As we move into the back half of 2022, interest rates will increase, which will slow down activity, but it's still too early to tell if that will cause a significant drop in prices. Back to you.
Thank you, Lucas. If you're dreaming of flying away on an international holiday anytime soon, be prepared to be grounded by COVID testing challenges. One local woman says she was left behind. Reporter Matt Klein explains how.
Whether you are going south for the winter or going back to school in the States, getting a COVID test can be a complicated process. You can get a PCR or rapid antigen test, but the results may not arrive when you need them to.
So the PCR test I took the day before, and already there, I never got the test results back until 2 hours after my flight left already.
Everyone who catches a flight may have been tested on different days leading up to the flight.
And I would rather go on a flight with someone who's been tested with a rapid antigen. It's cost effective, doesn't need to go to a lab, and it can be done just within, say, 12 or 24 hours before getting on a flight, than I would going on a plane with people who've been tested with a PCR test 72 hours before.
Newell says the national rules for getting tested are not keeping the Omicron variant from spreading within Canada.
And many people are looking to the fact that in Canada, I can get on a flight between Vancouver and Toronto. I don't need to be tested like it had Omicron. And people are doing that all the time.
Many are hoping that this process can be sped up for people that test negative and need to get on a plane.
It didn't really matter in a sense because I tested positive for COVID anyways. And so I wouldn't have gone anyways, but I paid like $270 for that test that never came when it should have came.
Lumalang is fighting to get her money back and looking to book another flight out of the country as soon as possible. I'm Matt Klein in Burnaby for Bcit Magazine.
In other COVID news, Dr. Bonnie Henry says fitness facilities can start reopening on January 20th. Gyms and yoga studios will have to meet COVID safety protocols and enforce the vaccine mandate. However, bars, clubs, and dance studios will remain closed until the BC Ministry of Health reassesses their opening dates. We rely on ambulances to come help us when we need them. But due to COVID infections and staffing vacancies, paramedics are in short supply. The union says that means up to half of our ambulances are sitting in a parking lot. Reporter Aidan Doherty checks it out.
As wild winter weather hits Vancouver and the Omicron variant spreads, understaffed paramedics, overburdened with calls, have just about reached their limit. Provincial President of the Ambulance and Dispatchers of BC, Troy Clifford, says upwards of 40 to 50% of paramedics are out of service, putting a strain on the health system across the province.
We're seeing psychological and mental health injuries of paramedics, dispatchers, the wellness, the fatigue, the continual fatigue and out of service levels that are affecting their wellness.
He says the combination of increased psychological and mental health injuries, the spread of the Omicron variant, and the lack of competitive wages and benefits has led to this understaffing. This has increased call times, which puts patients at risk.
We know that every minute in an emergency can be life and death, and that's just what's happening is we're seeing delays to get to patients, and anytime there's a delay to get to a patient, it can negatively affect their outcomes.
In a Twitter post, the APBC says they recorded 1 million ambulance responses in 2021, roughly 90,000 more than the previous year. Health Minister Adrian Dix recognizes the burden placed on healthcare workers.
Our healthcare workers have been performing exceptionally well, working very hard under enormous pressure.
The APBC is working with government and BC Health Services to update the recruitment model to be more competitive with other healthcare providers. They are asking the public right now to be patient while they are addressing these challenges. For Bcit Magazine in Burnaby, I'm Aidan Doherty.
Coming up after the break, donations are going to the dogs. And dining out on wheels. Welcome back to Bcit Magazine. Patrons of a New Westminster diner put their money where their paws were, all in memory of beloved actress Betty White. She passed away in December, but on her birthday, January 17th, people and their pets donated to local animal shelters in her honor. Reporter Kevin Yee went to see what's on the menu.
On Monday, Betty White Day was a call for animal lovers everywhere to help out where they could. This included New Westminster's Greens and Beans Deli and the Wild West Animal League, an animal welfare charity that advocates for pet adoption in BC. Together, they held a fundraiser for dogs and their owners.
Well, we wanted to do something for Betty White Day. She was a huge animal lover, and I think she would like to see something like this where people are raising money for animals.
Green raises funds and donates food to many charities. When she heard that a regular customer's dog passed away in December, she took the opportunity to help raise funds for the Wild West Animal League.
She kindly organized a fundraiser where the dogs of the neighborhood can come down and get a treat. We'll make a donation.
To memorialize Far's dog Chica, Greens and Beans offered some of Chica's favorite snacks to the other neighborhood pooches. And those dogs brought their owners with them.
Our animals are our children, and to have animals in need is always important.
animal rescue is a good thing. You know, it's how I got him.
Betty White Day fundraisers happened across the US and Canada. Green and Far are happy with their involvement. Together, they raised over $25,000 that will help dogs get adopted from remote parts of BC. Kevin Yee in New Westminster for Bcit Magazine.
For those who donated on Betty White Day, it's good to know where your dollars are going. As reporter Tejpal Garcha tells us, there's a dogfight between some animal welfare organizations over who gets the most cash.
The Betty White Challenge aided rescues and shelters province-wide, allowing them to continue to provide for animals in their care.
We're at 2,400 and it keeps going up every minute, so we've had a really wonderful response, and what a great way to honor a great woman.
The money also helps local dog rescue PB&G fund surgeries for 2 of their own dogs.
One of the dogs, Remy, he's a foster dog in the rescue. He actually came as an owner surrender here locally in Vancouver. He has an $890 dental bill that we have to cover.
No charity, however, reached the donation numbers of the BC SPCA, which received more than $400,000 in donations on Monday alone. This is an outcome that upsets PB&G.
All local rescues do not donate to the SPCA and do not donate to the Humane Society because they're getting millions every year from the government. The SPCA, I know, I'm going to get the number wrong. You can look it up, though, because they have to have all of their funding public, right? I know that 2 years ago, before the pandemic, they had received almost $3 million from the Canadian government.
Donations towards smaller organizations would help them provide further care for animals as they await their forever home, according to Shelley.
All rabbits, cats, and dogs are vaccinated and spay-neutered before they go home. On top of that, we do get animals that coming in from hit by car or needing major surgeries. So any increase we can do to donations really helps us cover those medical costs.
This serves as a reminder to understand who and what you're donating to, as even the smallest donation can go a long way for smaller shelters and rescues. I'm Tejpal Garcha in Surrey for Bcit Magazine.
If you love the variety and mobility of food trucks, there's a festival happening here just for you. The COVID pandemic has impacted many of these rolling businesses over the last 2 years. But they say, hey, we're still here. I went down for a bite.
Yeah?
Street Food City is back and celebrating their 10th anniversary. Lower Mainland residents fill the Vancouver Art Gallery Plaza in hopes of a delicious treat.
We just ordered some stuff.
The event is annually hosted by Destination Vancouver, Street Food Vancouver Society, and the Downtown Vancouver BIA. However, did not run in 2021 due to COVID-19.
We focused the last 2 years so much on private catering, private parties. So for us to be together as an association with other food trucks and just dealing with the public, it re-energizes you.
When everything kind of started closing on us, we had to really pivot our business. And I think a lot of the trucks really have thrived, even though it was very difficult at first, but people hustle and they find different ways of doing DoorDash or something more on the fly.
Thank you. Many businesses reacted differently. On one hand, food trucks were a form of outdoor dining. On the other, many were choosing to stay home.
So many people were having parties at their homes, but outside, and they didn't want to deal with food. So we focused more on that, and the last 2 years actually were really successful. Yeah, we're really lucky.
But not all businesses have been fortunate enough.
I only make a quarter from 2019. Well, I lost a lot of money, but again, we all this together, so I don't feel alone.
The City of Vancouver recognizes events like this can do a lot. They recognize the hardship that the event community has gone through during COVID and are optimistic about the return of events in Vancouver. All in all, the city is loving it.
Sure. If there's always food trucks around like this, for sure, in this quantity, I love options, so having options is great.
Definitely love community building events like this, so definitely be back.
And I'm glad to be part of this.
Food trucks are happy to be back, getting into the groove of things. The event is set to run until this Sunday, January 23rd. Angelina Ravelli in Vancouver for Bcit Magazine. In sports news, the NFL playoffs continue this weekend. Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady is chasing his 8th Super Bowl win. He will headline Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams. Winners will move on to the conference championships on Sunday, January 30th. If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitnews.com. That's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in and supporting Bcit Magazine. I'm Angelina Ravelli. Have a wonderful day.